The gospel must be the center of our lives above everything else. The previous point about the mission of the gospel, that was a consideration for evangelism. What I'm presenting now with the focus of the gospel being the center of our lives, it's the consideration of sanctification, of growing in Christ. You see, the gospel isn't just needed to get saved, to be justified before God. The gospel is also needed to grow in Christ, to grow in our faith, to learn to live the Christian life. Now, as you all know, we live in a Christian culture here in the U.S. where there are so many problems. I'm not saying problems, I meant programs. There are so many programs and books and online how-to videos for just about anything we want to learn. You can find things on how to have a successful marriage, how to parent, how to handle money, how to overcome addictions. You can find all of that in all of these resources that are available to us today. But where's the gospel? Are these things addressed with the gospel? The point is, the gospel must be the center of how we learn to live the Christian life in all these areas. Why? Because the gospel will help us have the right motives and the right attitudes. So if we don't have the right motives, we can easily become a little Pharisee. Or we can easily begin judging others. So the gospel will help us to have right motives and right attitudes of the heart in our hearts. You see, if our hearts are aligned with the gospel will give us the right motives. It will give us the right attitudes. It will help us keep our eyes on Christ as we seek to learn how to live the Christian life. Let me give you an example. We've all seen parents wanting their kids to behave because it makes them look good as parents. Maybe we've done this. These kinds of parents, they will hold their heads up high when people look at how well behaved their kids are. And then they get mad at their kids when their kids misbehave and make them look bad. That kind of parenting is parenting for one's own personal reputation. It's not gospel-centered parenting. Gospel-centered parenting seeks first and foremost to teach their kids about knowing and believing in Christ. The motives of the parents for gospel-centered parenting are for the salvation of their kids. And if their kids are saved, it's for them to grow in Christ. Notice also that gospel-centered parents are often willing to be transparent with each other about their own failings, and even transparent with other parents in the church. And it's because we know parenting's hard, and we know we need the grace of God, and we need our kids to know Christ, and so we're willing to be transparent and humble because we need Christ too. What about marriage? Many of you know that if Christ is not the center in your marriage, your motives will become selfish motives. And what happens is you can begin to focus your thoughts on what you want from your spouse rather than on how you can serve your spouse. And when those selfish motives begin to take root, discontentment sets in. So if you're not content in your marriage, consider perhaps your eyes are not on Christ. So the point is that the gospel must be the center of our lives. It must be the center of our lives as we seek to live the Christian life.